Good evening.
Good evening.
Sure you don't want to get on this side of the boat just so it goes ahead and tips on over?
I was trying not to disturb it, didn't work, did it?
So how much do you know about Deborah? Huh?
She's a judge.
She's a judge. She was called a prophetess. Thing that there's not really that much except for in these 2 chapters of Judges. And the interesting thing, one reason I wanted to think about her is she's the only female judge. She's the only female prophet mentioned in the Old Testament that I found. Paul's looked at me like maybe I'm wrong, but
I think there is, I can't think of it. Who? Maybe it's your fault.
you talking about that witch that
No,
helped Saul gets to Samuel. Well, if you find
not
out,
many. You're right about there not many.
there are not many, and I think she's definitely the only judge.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. She's the first female mentioned since Mary by name. That's the kind of the point that kind of stands out, And the time frame. What was the problem with the judges, or that there were judges? How did they end up being judges to begin with?
What kind of problem they were? Slaves.
Well, they didn't drive out all the people they were supposed to. And hence they became ensnares and they turned to their gods, and God let those people that he would have defeated for them take them captive and try to teach them. Real problem was they didn't learn much. Judges chapter 4, verse 4 to 5, we read, Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Leppidoth, was judge in Israel at that time, and she was sit under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramoth and Bethel in the mountains of Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. The interesting part is, we don't know what tribe she was part of. The assumption, since she was judge in Ephraim, that perhaps she was of the tribe of Ephraim, which would also be considered the tribe of Joseph. And, the people would go with conflicts. That's what they did with the judges. And, there was Book of Judges ends with the statement, there was no king in Israel. And honestly, there was really no overall leader of the tribes together. It kind of made me think about the sheep having no shepherd or scattered. And I think that's part of the reason they had to have judges come up. I think at that time, you probably had a time where Israel, if you look at it when they did it with the king, they really didn't want anybody over. Now, in chapter 4, when we look up, there was a man named Ehud who had been a judge, and he had died. And verse 1 says they did evil again. Some things on Deborah from Easton's Bible Dictionary that says my translation says she was the wife of Leppidoth. Leppidoth means torches. Deborah is called the wife of Leppidoth in Judges 4:4. Some have rendered the expression a woman of a fiery spirit under the supposition that Leppidoth is not a proper name, a woman of a torch-like spirit. When you look at Deborah, I can see where she might be called to have a fiery spirit. But I think when the Lord gives a name like that and doesn't give any whole lot of explanation. We ought to just take it as it is.
Be careful.
Yeah. Be careful what we suffice. I remember one time reading on Jezebel, and her name had meant something that meant something like a beautiful lady, beautiful character. Just because they got a name, don't mean they're going to live up to it. In fact, today, most of us who understand the story of Jezebel would not want to name our daughter Jezebel. I remember hearing about a woman named Delilah once. And then when I found out she had been married 5 or 6 times, I'm like, well, I can understand that. She's trying to live up to the name. But that's a side point. The interesting part with Deborah is that they were in captivity again. And in the time, notice when Ehud was dead, the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. The commander of his army was Sisera, who dwelt in Hazareth Haggaion. And the children of Israel cried out to the Lord, for Jabin had 900 chariots of iron, and for 20 years he harshly oppressed the children of Israel. When you look at this, I found this, it's kind of like when I found this on the internet after I hit it, there were several different slides, and I think, it was probably designed kind of like for a kid's class. But I thought it helped some of it. Bethel and Ramoth, she was between Bethel and Ramoth judging. Harosheth Haggaion, you see where it is, way up there. And that's where the king was. And the interesting part, I don't think we realize it enough, how mountainous a region Israel is. So it makes things kind of hard and difficult to do. But from what I read, all the different tribes were coming to her. And she makes this statement to Barak. Notice that she called and sent and called for Barak, the son of Abinadab, from Kadesh and Naphtali, and said to him, now let's stop here. What tribe would he be of? Somebody mumbled it.
Naphtali.
Naphtali. That's where he came from. He was part of that tribe. Has not the Lord God of Israel commanded, go and deploy troops at Mount Tamar? I want you to think about something. Is she sitting there saying, the Lord commands you? Or is she asking him a question? She's at the prayer. Had not the Lord God of Israel commanded? Notice the command. Go and deploy troops at Mount Tabor, and take with you 10,000 men of the sons of Naphtali and of the sons of Zebulun. And against you I will destroy Sisera, the commandment of Jabin's army, with his chariots, his multitude at the river Kishon, and I will deliver him into your hand. Now some will say, well, she's telling them that this is what she's doing is, whether she originally told him or not, the one that prophesied, she's asking him the question, has God not commanded you this? What you waiting on?
Bring it back to his attention.
Yeah, bring it back to his attention. I often I like it a lot of times when I read and Jesus and talking to those Pharisees would go, have you never read? You guys are supposed to be the students of the law. Have you not ever read this part? I think sometimes we ought to do that to people. Have you not read this? Have you not heard that this is what God expects? Because it kind of puts it in that point. What are you waiting on? I got a ticket one time, and the guy looked at me and he goes, do you know the speed limit? Actually, I didn't get a ticket that night. He let me off. Kind of felt sorry for me, I think. And I said, yes, sir. I said, this is 55 from way back to 100 until I get over that bridge over there. He goes, why are you doing 85? I said, because I'm tired and I want to get home. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. He looked at me, I said, there ain't nobody on this road but me, you, and them other 5 cops that pulled up. But that's another story. But anyway, we do need to point things out to people. And she pointed out to him. And notice his response. The marriage said to her, if you will go with me, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go.
Maybe she was a fire spirit.
You know, I think she'd been proven as a judge and a prophet. And he felt like, you know what? If I got you, I got God with me. If I don't got you, I can't say I got God. And he might even felt like, you know, hey, if you're not with me, these people are not going to follow me. So she said, I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, there will be no glory for you in the journey you are taking, for the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. Then Deborah rose and went with Barak to Kadesh. There's a thought there. Is she saying God's going to give me the glory instead of you? I think so. I'll give you a little side note. Hebrews 11, that I don't have up there. Which of these two do you think is mentioned among the faithful? Huh?
Well, he's not showing any faithful.
Let's see, verse 32. And what more shall I say? For the time would not fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Jephthah, also David and Samuel and the prophets. Now, and I'm like you. He's not showing a whole lot of faith here, but he's not doing so much as Gideon did in testing God. Like this fleece.
That may not be an inference to this particular situation.
I don't think it is. And I think it's more of his overall nature.
Right.
But let's go up here and look Mount Tabor.
Like he had more faith in her than he had in God.
I don't think so. I understand what you're saying. Let me go this way. When Abram was first told that he would inherit the land, what did he ask God? You know? After when he had the servant, he tried to convince God to let the servant be the one. God told him to have a vision, and the first thing he said when God told him this is all the land in the vision, he says, how do I know I will inherit it? And God showed him some more and told him some more, and he believed him. I think this is Barak's did. You're saying God told me to go do this. If you go with me, I know God told me. If you don't go with me, I don't believe. I don't think that his faith wasn't in God. His question was, how do I know? You know, I like a term called trust but verify. Why do you see Judges 4, 6, and 9 up there? I want you to be able to verify what I'm saying actually coming out of the book. Why? Because the more I show you it comes from the book, the more likely you're going to trust me to tell you the truth. And that's what I tend to do when people are preaching to me. So I think that's the way it is treated. And it might be that at this point he has more faith in her than he does God. But that's kind of my take on it. Now, here up is where Mount Tabor is. Now, I showed you a minute ago where They are way down there in the south, in the mountains of Ephraim. Now they're going back up here. What land is that? Do you know? That's the land of Naphtali and Zebulun. So you're going to take 10,000 men from those tribes. Where do you want the battle to be? You want to take them on a long journey or a short journey? Yeah. The more I look at stuff, God was an expert tactician. When you look at these battles, yes, he did miraculous things, but he also used providence in it. And I think this is a bit of providence here. Where can I get the men from? Where can I do the battle? There's some providence in this one. So it tells us that Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh. He went up with 10,000 men under his command, and Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite of the children of Joab, the father-in-law of Moses, had separated himself from the Kenites and pitched his tent near the terebinth tree at Zanium, which is beside Kadesh. And they reported to Sisera that Barak, the son of Abinadab, had gone up to Mount Tabor. Who reported it? Who's the they? I think it's Kenites. With the context. And there's also something I learned a long time ago. When God makes a side note, and that's kind of a side note here, keep it in mind. Because it's interesting to see how things went. So Sisera gathered together all his chariots, 900 chariots of iron, and all the people who were with him from Harosheth Haggaiim to the river Kishon. Then Deborah said to Barak, "Up, for this is the day in which the Lord has delivered Sisera into your hand. Has not the Lord gone out before you?" So Barak went down from the Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him. So here's the question about Deborah. Did she want to lead these men?
No.
Was she leading these men?
Yes.
Indirectly.
Indirectly, she gave them the command to attack. And the reason I bring that up is a lot of people today want to use Deborah as example of having women preachers today, women elders, women deacons. What would be the difference between them and Deborah?
Deborah was trying to get him to do the work, and she was trying to stay in the background.
That's right. She was trying to stay in the background. She was trying to get them to get it, to do it. She didn't want the authority. She didn't want the limelight. She didn't want any glory. So if somebody says, "Well, Deborah's my example," guess what? No, she's not. Because if that's your example for taking authority God hasn't given you, she didn't do that.
In the Song of Deborah, she's not boasting about herself either.
Well, we'll get there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's all right. You're right. She's not boasting about herself. Notice, and the Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army with the edge of the sword before Barak. And Sisera alighted from his chariot and fled away on foot. Now, I understand there's 900 chariots. What do you usually have along with chariots?
Foot soldiers.
You got foot soldiers. You know, honestly, I was thinking about that. Gideon only had 300 men. And here's 10,000. I don't think Barrett's faith was as great as Gideon's that he could have went with him without 10,000, with only 10,000, or with only 300. But at the same time, I think he was outnumbered at least 2 to 1. I read somewhere the average chariot soldiers, when you looked at it, chariots usually carried at least 2 men. And there was something like 10 men for every chariot, 10-foot soldier. And it may be more or less, we don't know, God didn't tell us anything. But I don't think God's letting them think they had this great victory all on their own either. And notice, but Barak pursued the chariots and the army as far as Harosheth Haggigim, and all the army of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword. Not a man was left. They didn't leave anybody. But notice, now however Sisera fled away on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Remember when I said that when God gives you a side note, keep it in mind. There's been a province. Heber the Kenite had separated himself from the other Kenites. And notice, for there was peace between Jabin, king of Hazor, and the house of Heber the Kenite. I think that's another little piece of providence. And notice, Sisera's fleeing. He needs a safe place to go to. Where does he go? To the tent of a friend of the king. And Jael went out to meet Sisera and said to him, "Turn aside, my lord, turn aside to me, do not fear." And when he had turned aside with her into the tent, she covered him with a blanket. Notice she said, "Do not fear," and didn't say there's nothing to fear. You're at Kenite's house. What are you afraid of? Well, what's there to be afraid of? Then he said to her, "Please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty." So she opened a jug of milk, gave him a drink, and covered him. What's the difference between water and milk?
I guess you try to make it go to sleep.
What do we steal if we have a problem sleeping tonight? What do we do? Sleep at night. A lot of times it's a glass of milk or even warm milk to help us sleep. And he said to her, "Stand at the door of the tent, and if any man comes and inquires of you and says, 'Is there any man here?' you shall say, 'No.'" Then Jael, Heber's wife, took a tent peg and took a hammer in her hand and went softly to him and drove the peg into his temple, and it went down into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. He's tired. She gives him that milk. It soothes him so much that she can put that tent peg in there. I'm in trouble. Huh? What does that tell you?
I have a question about this.
Okay.
Deborah said it would be a woman. Is she talking about herself or this lady here?
You talking about this?
There's a question.
You're right, Paul. He's talking about her.
Yeah.
He says, give the glory. Because the next person to show up is Barak. And then Barak proved Sisera. Jael came out to meet and said to him, "Come, I will show you the man whom you seek." And when he went into her tent, there lay Sisera dead with the peg in his tent. So on that day, God subdued Jabin, king of Canaan, in the presence of the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel grew stronger and stronger against Jabin, king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan. Who got the glory?
Jael or is it Deborah?
Jael got the glory. She's the one remembered for killing Sisera. That's where you can destroy an army all day long. Who kills the commander is the one that's going to get the glory. Who didn't get the glory for taking care of sister?
Yeah.
What's Barrett remembered for? I mean, I know that people write article point out gives a myth mentioning faith as being faithful, but really, if someone said something to you about Barrett at the time of the judges, what would you think?
Wanted to hid behind a wall.
He's the one that hid behind a woman. If the woman wasn't going, he wasn't going. And he didn't even finish the job. Another woman finished the job. I think it's twofold there. It's one of those things twofold. One, he wasn't willing to do it, so Deborah got the glory of getting this battle done. He fought in it, and then Jael got the glory of being the one that finished it. In fact, you brought up her song, and that's what she gave God the glory. Notice that Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinadab, sang on that day, saying, when leaders lead in Israel, when the Lord willingly offers them, when the people willingly offer themselves, bless the Lord. Hear, O kings, give ear, O princes. Even I will sing the Lord, I will sing praise to the Lord God of Israel. I want to stop and think about something in that first little stanza there. When leaders lead in Israel, what hurts the church most in anything, more than anything?
Everybody sitting back.
Everybody's sitting back when leaders won't lead. What about when people won't even be leaders? How many churches out there don't have elders because men are not willing to prepare or take the role of an elder? It's one thing for somebody to say, I've got no children, I can't be an elder. But I'm doing everything I can to be the same as that man that's being an elder. Teach them Bible classes, do whatever. There's a physical thing here. It's another for a man to say, well, I don't want to teach. Look what James said about teachers. Knowing good and well they got an ability to teach. They're really saying, I don't want the responsibility. Who's that remind you of? Moses, Barak. Both of them got a swift kick to the seat of the pants. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe too many times we won't tell people, hey, you know what? You need to step up. You can do more.
I think it's commendable that Barrett is singing also.
Oh yeah, I think it is too, because you know what? He puts himself right there with Deborah, and he sings with her.
Even the praise of
And he admits, it would have been better for me, it would have been better for Israel if I'd have just did what I was supposed to do without Deborah. And that's the point. Notice, Lord, when you went out from Seir, when you marched from the field of Edom, the earth trembled and the heavens poured. The clouds also poured water. The mountains gushed before the Lord. This Sinai before the Lord God of Israel. What's it saying there? It's saying God did this. God. Even the earth recognizes God. I think sometimes we get tied up in inanimate objects. But there's so many times, there's that song, Let the Praises Give Jehovah, that comes right out of Psalm 119. And it talks about the mountains and the earth and everything else. What is it telling us? If they could speak, they would give God the praise and the glory.
There's no more places in the Bible that it talks about speaking, not hearing and worshiping God.
Yeah.
All creation worships God. possible exception on that.
You know, and that's the thing, and I was thinking that, Ray, as you said it, the entire world, the entire universe recognizes God as God and deserving our devotion, but men have to be knocked in the head, so to speak. What's supposed to be the most intelligent being
Well, we're
on the planet.
with the cross. He
Yeah,
created in his image of all people. We should more than anybody or anything.
he gave us,
All creation follows his will and honors him and accordingly worships.
but the ones he gave the ability to reason and free will tend to try to reason themselves out of it. You got tons of scientists out there trying to prove how the world was created, and they can't even admit every discovery they make actually points to a God, yet they try to use it to deny God. But you know, people like Deborah and Barrett, they didn't do that. Notice, look down to verse 25, she says, most blessed among women in jail, the wife of Peter the Kenite. Blessed is she among women in jail. See, she didn't give herself any glory in the battle. She gave prior to this, she gave glory actually to Barrett, to the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun. She kind of questioned the rest of the tribes for not going to hell. I thought I meant to add that and I didn't. But, you know, back up in 16 or 15, she says about the princes of Issachar being with Deborah. And so they join in. But then it questions of Reuben, why did they just sit among the sheepfolds? Gilead stayed beyond the Jordan. Why did Dan remain on his ships? Asher continued at the seashore. Hey, why didn't y'all come help? Why did God say to Barrett, or through Deborah to Barrett, go call 10,000 of Zebulun and Naphtali? Why did he say call 10,000 in? Why didn't he say 10,000 from Judah and Benjamin? It wasn't because they didn't have the people, but God understood who would go.
And you skip verse 23.
Yeah.
That's a blip in this great triumphant song.
Mm-hmm.
He said, curse ye me wrongs. What's that? If I remember, I'm getting the word good as I used to, obviously. That was a little Jewish nearby settlement that would not come to the aid of their brethren.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, that's the whole point. Part of verse 15, when it starts questioning Reuben, division of Reuben, all the way down to verse 23, is almost a slap to everybody else. Why didn't you come help? You could have helped and you didn't want to help. And that's the point. It wasn't that, you know, that I think that's the point of Naphtali. The interesting point was, back in verse 8, it tells us that there was not a spear found among 40,000 men. What do these guys fight with? What spears? Might have been the plowshares.
Tent pegs.
The woman fought with tent peg and a hammer. Whatever they got their heads on. And I think that's the point. That I think when we really see that, you know, here's the faith of Deborah, here's the faith of Barak, and here's the faith of the 10,000 of Zebulun and Naphtali. They didn't have to have swords, they didn't have to have chariots, they didn't have to have spears. Whatever they could get on to, they knew the Lord would be with them, and they did. And you notice something, when you look over at David and it starts talking about his mighty men of war, what does that mean? They had been battle tested. They fought. They were soldiers. What about these guys?
Do you have a question here? And I don't know if this is figurative or what, but 1921, it sort of looked like there was a flood. Torrents of,
And
You know-
Tamak by the waters of Megido, they took no spoils of water.
I'm wondering if that was a flood that God brought about to help, or if this is just treatment.
I think it's figurative. I was looking at it, and it talked about the kings of Canaan coming and fought, but they took no spoils. They didn't win.
It says the stars fought, the torrent of Pishon swept them away.
And the stars from their courses fought against Sisera.
I'm
The
wondering
torrent
if
of Kishon
this
swept them away, the ancient torrent that was tormenting. And it could be that the river, it could be the fact that they were, the thing of it was the 10,000 were, if you notice, up on Mount Habor. Now, if you remember that picture, that little picture, let's go back to that real quick. There we go. But look at it today. That's not what we call a mountain. Kind of a really big hill. And it's there, that little ridge there, the valley is the river. What happens if you're crossing a river and a great horde descends with you from the mountain? Who's got the high ground? So I would say, reading from it, if nothing else, God used the river to his advantage.
could have been a downpour.
Could have been a downpour, could have flood, but I really think, using that, they swept down upon them or swooped down upon them before they even realized where they were. It's like I was reading in back in the Revolutionary War, a lot of people, well, let's go back to the French and Indian War. This is where George Washington learned some of his tactics. The military, the British were trying to fight the British, like on a battlefield of honor, marching, drop, shoot, reload, drop, shoot, marching toward each other. But the French and the Indians were using guerrilla tactics. They hid and attacked. They attacked them through the trees. They were surprised that there was no, at this time tomorrow we'll do battle. Even Washington started realizing that. And I think he went back to the reason, hey, here's how we almost lost the French and Indian War. Because he was a colonel then. But that tactics, that's
You did that.
no.
I looked this up, it says, the drowning of Sisera's host is paralleled by a similar destruction of Arabs fleeing from the French after the Battle of Mount Tabor in 1799. So this thing during the winter or after heavy rain does become a torrent.
Yeah, I mean, a swift current, and, imagine a bunch of chariots trying to cross a swift current.
Pinned them against the river, is what you're saying?
I think they attacked them while they were in the river, trying to come out of the river. The river was an aid to them.
All that from both sides would be
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. And I think the army swept down as quick as that river did. That's what I meant earlier, that the more and more we study God, the more and more we find out what a great tactician he was, or is. On a battle he can't win, he knows how. Getting back to the end there, of the drill, jail. It's on the bad part when you go backwards. Trying to find out where he was. Here we go. Notice he asked for water, she gave milk. She brought out cream in a lordly bowl. She didn't just give him a little milk, she gave him a lot of milk. And not so much fresh milk, but milk that had started to cream. It was thick. It was heavy. What happens when you put something heavy on your stomach and you're tired? You're right, Joey. She was wanting to lure him to sleep. She stretched her hand to the tent peg, her right hand to the workman's hammer. She pounded Sisera, she pierced his head, she split and struck through his temple. At her feet he sank, he fell, he lay still. At her feet he sank, he fell. Where he sank, there he fell dead. He kind of died foolishly, don't you think?
Well, he's been battling all day, you would think. He probably was up early, prepared for the battle, so he would have been exhausted.
He was exhausted.
He was bleeding, exhausted. And so it was a natural setup.
Yeah. I think, you notice it's the wife of Heber, not Heber. And when it says Jabin and the Heber were at peace, I think Sisera felt he could go there and trust. And he probably could have trusted Heber. This is that point of providence. First of all, Heber has separated himself from the rest of the Kenites. Heber is friends with the king. Sisera feels he can go to him and be safe. But he's not home that day. I think to me, this all the strikes of God's providence work.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, just every little step of it. Now, there's an interesting point. I kind of looked at this and I thought about it. What Deborah says, notice the mother of Sisera looked through the window and cried out through the lattice. Why is his chariot so long to come? Why carries the clatter of his chariots? Where's the army? Why's it taking so long? Her wisest lady answered her. Yes, she answered herself. Are they not finding and dividing the spoil to every man and girl or two? For Sisera, plunder of dyed garments, plunder of garments embroidered and dyed, 2 pieces of dyed embroidery for the neck of the looter. But goes into what did he do? He's plundered dyed garments before he. What's taking so long? Why hasn't he come home? And trying to comfort herself that he's not dead and the army's not destroyed. And saying it's the time of getting the spoil, that's what's taking so long. Notice, just let all your enemies perish, O Lord, but let those who love him be like the sun that comes out in full strength. So the land had rest for 40 years. Notice how they start out giving God the glory, and they finish. Lord, you did this. You used us. We were instruments, but you did this. And so 40 years, they had rest. How long did Deborah live? We don't know. We don't know how long after this she lived. What we know is what God gave us. He set her up as a prophetess and a judge. She did the role he gave her. She tried to get men to do what they were supposed to do. And she's kind of an example. Notice, never did she say, right, I'm telling you what you should do. Has not the Lord said? I don't have authority over you, but the Lord does. She never took any authority over him. Never wanted any authority with him. He did. Even though he said, how long ago if you go, and guess what? He didn't give her. He didn't give her authority either. He didn't say it's your place to lead the army. He just says, I'm just not gonna go unless you go with me. And I still think his thought was, if you go with me, I know the Lord's with me. But it did come at a price. As every little bit of doubt does. So, that's all we know about Deborah. And she, you know, and unless we go into Delilah, I think she's the only one mentioned in the book of Judges. I could be wrong. But I don't call her a prominent woman of the Bible, Delilah. So,
There is one more prophet, this Hula, mentioned in 2 Kings 22, 2 Chronicles 34.
we go. Okay, so two prophets
That's right.
mentioned in the Old Testament. I know Philip had 4 daughters who were prophets in the New Testament. But that's it. So I guess maybe we'll have to do Huda before we get done on this. How much is there, Paul? Did she just mention her? Do we know of?
It tells a story about their voting for her,
Huda.
her information.
Okay.
She tells what the Lord said.
Now, I've said this before, since we are doing women, if you got somebody you want to look at, write it down and give it to me. Because I'm being selective. I'll be honest, I'm not doing Ruth, and I'm not doing Rahab. Because last year, when we first got here, we did a study on Ruth and Rahab, on Boaz, which included Ruth and Rahab. So, we'll go from there. Well, I like that part where we read when the leaders of Israel lead. And you know, for the other part of that is for leaders to lead, people have to be willing to follow. We all have something we can do to help in the Lord's kingdom, and sometimes we're not as faithful as we should be. And sometimes we stumble and we fall. And if there's anyone who feels like they may need prayer tonight, we'd be glad to pray for you. Come on, stand and sing.
We walk with the